Dr. Wendy and her husband Eddie from Real Housewives of Potomac are in some big trouble. I'm sure most of you have heard by now, they were both arrested on multiple counts of fraud, but when you read the actual indictment, it is not looking good for Dr. Wendy or her husband Eddie. They were both charged with 7 counts of insurance fraud, 8 counts of conspiracy insurance fraud, and 1 count of a false statement to a police officer. And they were arrested, but they just posted bail. On April 7th of 2024, Wendy and her husband Eddie called the police to report that their home had been broken into, ransacked, and multiple items were taken out of their home. When cops responded to this call to investigate, they said that the purported break-in site would have had to be a second-story bathroom window, so they thought. And they noted that there were no ladders present and there was none of the furniture that was sitting on the deck that seemed disturbed. Cops did report that there was a small screen removed and it was laying on the roof, which you would have had to stand on to get into the second-story window. But they said once they checked the bathroom, you would have to stand on the toilet once entering that window, and there was no debris on the toilet, which they stated was odd because when the sheriff stepped from the roof into that window with his feet on that toilet, debris from the roof actually ended up on that toilet seat. They also claimed that Wendy and Eddie had an ADT system and a Ring camera, and there was no motion detected inside the home. Police would go on to state in this indictment that the next day, April 8th of 2024, Wendy and Eddie would make 3 separate claims to insurances. Police say that the 3 different claims were made to the Travelers Insurance Company, Jewelers Mutual Insurance Company, and Homesite Insurance Company. Police then go on to claim that Eddie gave 2 recorded statements to 2 of these insurance companies about a list of items that were stolen out of the house. He was allegedly asked during both of these conversations if he returned any of these items, which he denied. Which ain't gonna sound too good when we get a little further into this. Go on to say that Eddie was asked if he had any other insurance companies during this recorded phone call, which he denied. For the next insurance company, the Homesite Insurance Company, they allege that Eddie and Wendy both signed a notarized document of showing loss, which the total amount on that notarized and signed document show a $2,500 loss for the home and $450,000 for an estimated loss of property, which they go on to allege that Eddie submitted receipts for a lot of these things that he claims was stolen in this break-in. But that claim was ultimately denied because he failed to disclose this plan with the Travelers Insurance. Eddie said on April 8th of 2024, when he was making this claim to the Travelers Insurance, that him and his wife were both wearing their wedding bands. Then allegedly 3 days later, he would call back and say, actually, nah, my wife is missing hers. And that same day, the Travelers Insurance would settle a total claim for $25,000 with that band being included in the price of that settlement. According to the indictment, the next day on April 11th, they would then contact Jewelers Mutual Insurance Company to make a claim about 57 stolen items. And they claim once again that Eddie and Wendy submitted signed and notarized documents about these 57 items. One of the items included in this list included the same wedding band. Jewelers Mutual Insurance claimed that on April 22nd, Eddie would have a recorded phone call, and Eddie never mentioned that there was another insurance company that already picked up the settlement over this piece of jewelry. This is where it gets interesting because the cops start investigating due to weird circumstances surrounding this break-in and things that were happening with the insurance company, and then they find this photo on Wendy's Instagram with her wearing the ring that was reported to multiple insurance companies as being stolen. If you thought it stopped there, you'd be very wrong. Investigators claim during this investigation, they found out that a lot of the things that Eddie was listing to these insurance companies as being stolen were actually bought and returned prior to this break-in even happening. And they claim that these items were in excess of over $20,000. Investigators are also claiming that during this investigation, they found an email from April 12th of 2024, a couple days after this alleged break-in happened, from Eddie to Wendy. And that email had a list of items in it, and then Eddie would ask Wendy if there's any other high value items that he should add to this list, saying Chanel shoes, etc. I'm trying to exceed a $423,000 maximum. This still gets worse. When they arrested and indicted Eddie and Wendy, they also got search warrants for their home. Investigators are claiming they found 15 items that are exactly what is listed in some of the stolen items from this alleged break-in. They're charging them with making false statements under notary to 3 separate insurance companies, lying to a police officer. And I'm just gonna say, this ain't looking too good. Y'all let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments.